Hillary, not just Bill, but Hillary, got millions in personal payments for speeches from the Keystone pipeline promoters in Canada after she left office as Secretary of State. Hillary had a lot of power as Secretary of State, but the one thing that she absolutely controlled personally was the approval of the Keystone pipeline. That had to get a certification from the State Department because it crossed international borders. And if it didn't get that certification, the project was dead. While she served as Secretary of State, Bill got $8.4 million in personal speeches, not foundation grants, money right into Hillary's and his bank account for speeches in Canada. And then after Hillary left office, she picked up where he left off and got up to $2 million, 1.3 to 1.8 million, in speeches in Canada before Keystone groups, many of them the exact same groups that Bill had spoken before. One of them was a major bank in Canada that had been cited in 2003 by the SEC and fined $42 million for its involvement in the Enron bankruptcy. And it was a major supporter of the Keystone pipeline. In fact, on its board sat the lobbyist for Keystone in Washington. The Vancouver and the Montreal Board of Trade sponsored speeches for both Bill and Hillary. And the Board of Trade included board members who were very key in the whole pipeline process. What did Hillary do in return for this money? Well, her bias in favor of the Keystone pipeline was manifest. Now, I support Keystone. I think it's a good idea. But I do not think it's a good idea for the decision maker in the United States to receive millions of dollars of bribes in order to approve it. Hillary designated a company to review the Keystone pipeline, an impartial company, to determine whether it would bring environmental damage or not. And it turned out that the company had previously worked for TransCanada, which was the sponsor of the pipeline. And many of its consultants had been on the TransCanada payroll, a fact which they hid and tried to disguise, but ultimately came out when Greenpeace and some other environmental groups sued under the Freedom of Information Act. And her bias in favor of Keystone was quite apparent. In fact, while the review process was going on, she predicted that it would be approved, which is, a judge predicting the plaintiff's going to win when the court case starts. So this is an instance in which Hillary and Bill both were clearly on the take in an effort to get approval of the Keystone pipeline. Now, a lot of Clinton's defenders have said there's not a shred of evidence of these conflicts of interest. Well, and there's no smoking gun. Well, yeah, because she erased all of her emails. And it's a deliberate effort to conceal all this, so there is no smoking gun. But when you find a juxtaposition of payment after payment after payment to them personally by companies and countries that had interests in matters before the State Department that were resolved to their satisfaction after they gave the money, particularly the uranium deals that Russia was pushing, you're talking about something that clearly should be disqualifying for a person to be president and perhaps should be indictable. Thanks for watching.